Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Please remember to like and subscribe. Subscribe if you can't wait to see Aston Villa in the Champions League. Subscribe if you find it hilarious that Birmingham City are down in League One. Well, Aston Villa 3, Athletic Bilbao 2. The club from the Basque Country came over here with some fans who visited as well. Fair play to them. I love Athletic Bilbao, one of my favourite teams to have watched over the last few years, and I cannot wait to visit the Basque Country. I might be going very soon, actually, to pay homage to Professor Unai, because of course it is his homeland. I would say hello to those Basque watchers, but I don't actually know how to say hello in Basque. So hello. Anyway. Aston Villa, that's more like it, isn't it? After the US tour, I got a little bit Mark Lawrence, and I was thinking a bit worried about a few things. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter, does it? It's pre-season, and it's more, just getting, as the cliche goes, minutes in the tank. But you don't want you to see your team losing all the time, and the fact we lost all three games in the US whilst looking a little bit worse for wear, a little bit like a group of guys who had a bit of a hangover. We were on a stag do. It was nice to see us play against Bilbao and look much sharper, look much more like the team we know. And so from the very beginning, there were some positive signs. Look, I mean, as I say, Villa have beaten Athletic 3-2 here. We've got Dortmund on Saturday. Who knows what could happen there? Could lose 3-0, could have a great big win there. Who knows? But ultimately, it's not predictive of what the Premier League season is going to be like. But as I mentioned the other day, sometimes pre-season does show you hints of some problems and some positives. And I always hark back to Chelsea just after they won the Premier League in 2015 under Unai Emery, no, under Jose Mourinho, where in their preseason they were losing a lot of games, very surprising, and it sort of was noticeable because it was Chelsea that just won the Premier League. Then they came into the new season and they were terrible. So sometimes it can be indicative that something's a bit awry. But I think with Villa, I think there were some really positive signs, and I'll start off up front. Morgan Rogers playing as that kind of roaming forward. Now, when he came into Villa, he largely, or from what I remember last season, only played in the what I call the Jacob Ramsey role, that left midfield role where he gets the half turn, runs forward, bursts into the area. He's a different profile of player to Ramsey, some similarities, but different. Um, but something I've been saying about Rogers for a while now is that I wonder if he's the heir to Watkins. Because he has the height, the physicality, and the intelligence to play in the final third, because he can play with his back to goal, but he also has not only that, but also a fantastic finish. He can kind of finish from anywhere. Is he predatory? Is he sort of a fox in the box type player? I don't know about that yet, but he can certainly finish from distance, and he can finish from up close, as he showed against, I think it was Bournemouth last season. But today, what you saw was that goal was disallowed, but what a finish that was, which arguably wasn't offside, chipping it over the keeper. That the awareness and the ability to pull that off is just very high level. And there's indications from Rodgers ever since he really came into Villa, at least since the Wolves game in March, where you've thought he's just gone from strength to strength, and the growth in him so rapidly. My goodness, he looks like an England player waiting to happen, doesn't he? He's quality. But what was really positive about him was as it had been earlier in preseason when he played as a second striker, was his ability to roam and take up the right positions and link up play really well. And there were various instances in the first half where I thought he linked up very nicely with Jacob Ramsey, Luca Dean coming forward as well on the left, and John McGinn. Second half, I think that all came together when you saw Luca Dean sees Morgan Rogers come in for the ball, lays it into Rogers, and Rogers' first time pass around the corner. The weight of it, the awareness of where Jaden Philogene had gone, and then for Philogene to finish it, quality. Rogers uh, has just shown since he came into Villa and has shown during preseason that the final third, the sort of second striker role, may be where he ends up in his career, and maybe even this season in the coming weeks, let alone months. I do think he'll likely play out on the left at times, but for sure he's showing really positive signs that who knows. Uh, this season, let's imagine John Duran goes. Let's say Cameron Archer stays. You do then have options of a Cameron Archer who's more of a fox in the box. He's one of them strikers who can be anonymous for long spells, but will find a goal out from somewhere. Always looking to run in behind, always looking for a chance. So you have that profile of player on the, as a backup to Watkins, but also potentially a Morgan Rogers. I still think we need another forward, just because I think against the highest level opposition, I think were Watkins to at any point be out for a prolonged spell, we're asking a lot of Rogers and Archer to just be able to go in and do that role. So, I think Duran has the ability to do it. It's just, does he have the attitude and does he want to do it? It doesn't look like that at the moment, but who knows? Maybe he'll turn his head on. I mean, who knows? Who knows with that guy? But it just feels like we need I do think we still need another forward, though I am very positive about what we saw from Rogers. It was really good. Otherwise, looking further forward as well, John McGinn looked sharp. Jacob Ramsey, wasn't it great to see him back? And if you think back to that first goal, the work again, Morgan Rogers involved. Morgan Rogers knowing when to come deep, free roaming striker, laying it off, perfectly weighted pass into Yuri Tielemans, and Tielemans with fantastic passing behind to Ramsey, who made a really good run. Ramsey finishes it. How beautiful was it to see Jacob Ramsey fit and firing and playing today? My God, to see that man back, because do not forget, in the second half of Professor Unai's first season, use the correct term, Professor Unai, not Unai, Professor Unai. In that second half of that season, when Villa fired up into the Conference League, right? Ramsey was one of the most improved and looked like one of the most devastating players in his position in the Premier League. And he then went and looked exceptional for England under 21s when they went on and won the under 21 Euros last season. Unfortunately, he got that injury. And it's such a shame because we never got to see how much further he could have gone last season. Now this season, please God, that injury is clear, gone. And, the potential of having Ramsey there on the left, having then a Jaden Philogene coming in who looked really, really sharp as well. His skill, his ability, it's really hard to describe what it is, what he does, but his ability to kill a ball dead with back to goal and turn really rapidly, find himself in space, draw a defender on him, and then make the pass which leaves the defender or the player who's marking him for dead, and then hits it perfectly into the player who's passing it to, and then he can run in behind the defender who just tried to get into him. His ability to do that is quality. And, you suddenly look at it and you think you got Ramsey out there on the left. You got Jaden Philogene who can go there. You got Eiling Jr. who can go there. And you've got bloody Morgan Rogers who can go there. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, the strength in that sort of area now. It's not bad, is it? And they're all very different profile of player. Jaden Philogene, he looked good in America. He looked good on the US tour. He looked very good at Cardiff on loan. He looked very, very good on loan at Hull last season. There's a reason they brought him back. And I think we saw hints of that tonight. It was a brilliant goal he scored. And just hints of what he can do. Very skillful. And to have him as an option on the left, but also as a sort of option on the right to give Bailey a rest. I think he looked a bit more effective on the left today than he does on the right, but that, he's more used to playing on the left. So that's not to say he couldn't have, at some point be as effective on the right. But again, certainly really positive signs from him. But, I'll go back to the first half and just say, Ramsey Very nice stuff. Fantastic to see him back. Luca Dean did well. He's a solid fullback, isn't he? Will he go this summer? I still think there's a chance he might. Uh, but I think the fact Dean started over Matson, I think is probably a hint that the West Ham game, Unai Emery might be thinking of starting Dean, just because you're going into first day of the season, you're going up against Jared Bowen, you're going against the West Ham team who are obviously going to be very excited on the first day of the season, a West Ham crowd who are going to be very up for it. And Luca Dean probably is just, he's a very solid professional, isn't he? He just is a solid player. And I think he's experienced. And so I could imagine a scenario in which Matson maybe starts on the bench in the first game or two, works his way into the team and becomes a stalwart, a left back. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just plays it a bit safe and has Dean at left back. And I thought he looked all right tonight, actually. But then, elsewhere, Onana and Tielemans, they're two players who've played a lot together for Belgium. So it's nice for those two to come in and just repeat that because, Onana is a new player. It's going to take a while to get used to how we play. But it was good to, it's good to know that he has played with Tielemans at least and has that. And he looks, he just looks like a big physical presence, doesn't he? With a lot of quality defensively and I think potentially offensively as well. Tielemans again doing this in the Luiz role. He's a different player to Luiz, but he's a very nice player. He's very, very confident now compared to a year ago when he came in from Leicester off the back of a bad season. He's just looked really good for quite a while now for Villa. And he can play as that second striker if you want him to, but he can, I think he'll probably start in that Luiz role. And then, of course, you've got Barkley as backup there. So some really positive signs in that first half. Lamar Bogart started. Matty Cash started. Bogart, I think, found a genie's lamp, rubbed it, and one of his first wishes was, can you turn me into Ezri Konsa? Because profile, style of play, how he looks on the ball, the way he moves and everything, he does kind of look a bit like Konsa. He plays a bit like Konsa. There's a lot of similarities there. And interesting, I think I do wonder tonight, I think he was on for 90 minutes. I think you do wonder, has he played himself into contention to stay at Villa this season? I mean, that right centre-back role is where, Diego Carlos, not there today. I don't know if he's suspended from what happened in the US. I don't know how that counts. But I can't imagine Unai Emery was delighted with his red card in the US. And the links with Fulham, you got to think there's a good chance he might go. So could Bogart stay and play there? Certainly showed tonight he can play at a high level. He looks a very good player. He looked good in the US as well. He looked good last season. But I do still think Villa need to sort out that right centre-back area just because it still just feels like an area where we're lacking a little bit. I mean, I love Konsa, but somebody who can play, Konsa can also play can play right back. So I do wonder if that's something Emery's going to want to do this season. And if Konsa goes out to right back, who then comes into the centre back area, who's an aerial dual winner? Because we need more of those in the team. But fair play to Bogart. You can see why Nottingham Forest were linked with him earlier this summer. Certainly a player who can play to a high level. Certainly. And Gauchi, big shout out to Gauchi. In the US, he looked a little lower. He didn't look confident in his first game. It was a bit easy to beat. Today, he looked really confident, really composed on the ball. His distribution was really good, really confident. Looked a bit more comfortable playing it out than Olsen does. And he made two top saves as well. So fair play to him. Really good showing from him. And, Ziyech, as well as the other backup goalkeeper, has played well this preseason as well. And looked all right tonight. Only complaint for the first half really is, I think Villa could have scored a couple more, missed a couple of big chances. But I think you could probably argue Matty Cash heading the ball away for their goal. I don't really know what he was doing. I think we saw, when I say that, I think we saw hints of Villa's best, that looked a bit sharper, looked a good side. Cash's header out leading to Bill Athletic's goal felt a little bit like what Villa do. We concede stupid goals and we concede too many goals. And we can't continue to concede the amount of goals we do, and we can't continue to concede just sloppy goals, which is what we do. We just do. And I think what happened with Cash's header was kind of symbolic of that, and it's just something we have to get rid of out of the team. Otherwise, so second half, on came the man I've been raving about all summer, Kosta Nedeljkovic. Now, he's 18, so he obviously has a lot of growing to do. There have been times when there's been balls over the top where he might have lost a man, or there was one occasion tonight he did that. But every video I watched of him, every video I could find, the one really striking thing that came out to me was how powerful and physical and strong he looked going forward, right? He clearly loves to go forward. And when he makes a tackle, he's high impact. He is high impact. He's Mike Tyson laying one on the chin of, you know, Bruce Selden in '96. How do I remember that? Going around to watching my granddad's. Only lasted about 20 seconds at 5 a.m. in the morning. Thanks, Bruce. But he's, I said it earlier this summer, and I said, he slightly reminds me of the way he runs forward. Slightly reminds me of a young Gareth Bale. He's that height, he's that sort of profile, rangy, tall, strong, skillful, and a final ball. If you watch some of them videos, his crossing's really good. Now, obviously, comparing him to Bale is obviously a bit ridiculous. I get that. I'm not saying he's Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale is one of the greatest football players you'll ever see in your life. But he certainly has hints of that kind of a fullback when Bale was a fullback. And tonight, you saw two examples of that pace and physicality when he bursts forward. The first one, when he just knocked it past the Athletic defenders and absolutely stripped past them, burst into there at half. It got the afterburners on. It was like Billy Whiz from the Beano. And then, again, the second time he did it, I can't remember who he linked up with, but he got the ball, pushing forward, beats a couple of men, racing down that wing and raced a long way up the pitch, got into the final third, and arguably it was a penalty. I think it was. I thought it was in the back rather than the shoulder. I just think Kosta Nedeljkovic looks really, really good. I think he has loads and loads of potential. And having seen what I've seen from all the videos I've watched, that I talked about earlier this summer, having seen what I've seen in the preseason and again tonight, I think I understand what it is that Monchi and the scouting department all saw in this young man. And he's very young, so he's obviously got a long way to go. But what you can say is he looks like a player who has loads and loads of potential to be a thoroughly modern quality fullback. And I cannot wait to see his development at Aston Villa. I know I've given him the big hype, and he may come in and play a couple of bad games for Villa, but look, he's young, so he's entitled to that. It's what happens. But I can't help but think that the raw ingredients we're seeing, who knows, maybe in a year's time, Matty Cash might be struggling to get past him. He's quality. He just looks really good. He's got high potential. That's the way I should put it. Anyway, Jaden Philogene looked really good, as I mentioned earlier. I really, really positive signs from him. And otherwise, Lamar Bogart, again, looked pretty comfortable, looked good. And I think otherwise, you could say, the two goals, I mentioned it earlier, the Philogene goal, lovely stuff, brilliant work from Morgan Rogers as well. The third goal, it was about a minute after Cameron Archer, I think wrongly, had a goal ruled out for offside, where Emi Buendia had got the ball with deep fans to space, and one of those trademark Buendia passes. It's such an unusual skill he has. No one else seems to be able to play this weight of pass that he has, where it's from really deep, and he sort of puts loads of pace on it at first, and it looks like it should just run out of play, but instead it sort of stops dead. It's like a golf. It's like a golf hit. It's like a sand wedge or something. But it's all along. The way it sort of just perfectly stops just where he wants it to, and a player can run onto it. And first goal, Cameron Archer did brilliantly. The offside goal, that is, brilliantly to get there, take a pass, keeper, score, and then unfortunately was offside. Apparently, amazing how similar the second goal was. Again, Emi Buendia, intelligent, knocking it over the top, perfectly weighted ball, and Archer fighting his way to get there, to get to that ball. Pulled back, could have been a red card, all the song and dance. Instead, he carries on. What an attitude that is. Takes it past the goalkeeper and scores. And I got to tell you, he scored 3 goals in pre-season, right? 4 if you count the one that was not wrongly ruled offside. I think in the US, there were a couple of games where his link-up play didn't look great. He's young. That can improve. But the type of player he is, as a striker, what he's proven throughout his career so far is that he just scores goals. And he's a goal poacher. But not just that, he's a player who can play off the last man and just get in behind. And that is a different profile to what Ollie Watkins does. I think with Archer, he's a sort of classic striker in the sense of he's one of them players who you can think, has he done anything all game? Is he even here? What, is he put on that invisible cloak they have in Harry Potter? What's he doing? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Emi Buendia puts a ball in behind and Archer's roaring to go, gets him behind, goal. And I can't help but think, I look at him and think if he is to stay at Villa this season, if he's to come on as an impact player or come on as a sub quite a lot, I think he will score goals. I think he will. He's a totally different player to Duran. I think Duran probably is a better player. But who knows with Archer? A couple of years ago, he went to Solihull Moors on loan. You think he scored 4 goals in however many games in the National League. You wouldn't have thought that then he was going to become a much better player in a far higher standard league in the Championship. But he did. Went to, was it Preston he went to, I think? Sorry, I've forgotten what it was. I think... Anyway, the first club he went to, he scored a fair number of goals. You wouldn't have thought he'd score that many going for the National League. Comes back to Villa. Then he goes to Middlesbrough, scores a load of goals there as well. And so and then he goes up into the Premier League last season into an absolute basket case in Sheffield United, who played a style of football that simply would not suit him. Having to play for a team that didn't create chances, play for a team that lost 8-0 all the bloody time. I mean, you can't really judge him on that too much. He scored 4 goals then, right? So he showed he can score in the Premier League. He scored 4 goals, so he scores in the Premier League. I'm not saying he's going to go on and have an amazing season. I'm not even saying he's going to stay at Villa this summer. I don't know. But don't write him off. He made the jump from the National League to the Championship and scored a load of goals. Who's to say, in the right environment, with the right level of confidence, and the right amount of game time at Villa, he might not just turn up and score 8 to 10 goals that prove to be important, crucial, late equalisers. I mean, don't write him off. He's one of our own. Let's get behind him. I'm really supportive of Archer, and I really hope he does it. And I think the 2 goals he scored tonight showed he really has something. It does. I mean, that's really good striker play. I know it's pre-season; it doesn't really matter, but they're good goals. And he scored a great goal in the US against Columbus Crew, the only goal we scored, and another one against Spartak Tirana or whoever. So, yeah, don't write him off. We'll see. We'll see how he does. Anyway, that's me rabbiting on enough. Please like and subscribe. If you like what we do, please give us 5 stars on Spotify. Go on your phone, just give us that. It helps us grow. It helps us keep growing. Because we love doing this, we want to keep doing it. And again, you can do the same on Apple. You can write a nice review on there if you're kind enough to do so. And then on YouTube, just subscribe as well. Leave a comment. I really want to know what you think. Leave a comment wherever you listened or watched. And because I really want to engage. I really want to know what other Villa fans think about what we all saw and what we've seen so far in pre-season. There's still things that bother me a bit. There was much more positive signs tonight with the players. And West Ham's going to be a super tough game, but I'll talk more about that next week. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Up the mighty Villa.